Some rather curious photographs and video have come out of the occupied Donbass region showing a weapon which originally came into service with the Russian army in 1891. This is the Mosin Nagant, or three-line rifle, and here it has been issued to conscripts from the Donetsk occupied area. Why is the Russian army doing this? Is it because it has nothing better? Or perhaps the weapon is so good that being old is not a problem? Or is it that Russia just sees the conscripts from this area as cannon fodder to whom it's not worth giving proper weapons? Here is a quick video which appeared on Twitter where the conscript is eager to show it off to the camera operator who represents the Putin imperialist fascist faction. This weapon dates to the Russo-Turkish War of 1877 to 1878, when the Russians had only a single-shot weapon against the Turkish repeating Winchesters. This, of course, put them at a major disadvantage. Shortly after the end of the war, the Russian military started to look for a weapon and announced a competition. The choice fell upon this one, which was a mix of the winning two and named after the constructors in common parlance as the Mosin Nagant, although the official name was three-line rifle. It's also called the Mosinka, which is a somewhat affectionate term in Russian. The name Mosin Nagant, I need to point out, actually came about following a legal case, but I might consider doing something on that at another date. The weapon was originally produced in 3 factories in Russia, and because the Russian army was so large and disadvantaged not having a repeating weapon, production was also outsourced to a factory in France. It was possibly used for the first time in combat in Afghanistan in 1893, and then during the Boxer Rebellion in China in 1900-1901. On the 21st of March 1897, the 500,000th rifle was produced. By the beginning of the Russo-Japanese War in 1904, approximately 3,800,000 rifles had been supplied to the Russian military. At the beginning of the First World War, the Russian army had 4,519,700 of these rifles. During the war, the Russian military industry produced 3,286,232 three-line rifles, and a further 289,431 damaged weapons were repaired. Here we can see Russian troops entering East Prussia. They're carrying this weapon, which originally came in 3 variants. 1 80 centimeters long with a bayonet, and 2 73 centimeter long weapons, either with or without a bayonet. The bayonet was fixed and the weapons were calibrated to fire with it. This, of course, was a major problem and required a great deal of physical fitness to actually do so, particularly as the weapon had an enormous kick. From 1938, the bayonet was removed, or it was incorporated into the stock by folding backwards. One of the problems Russia had during the First World War after defeats in East Prussia was that many weapons were lost and there were not enough to go around. As a result, the rifles were outsourced for manufacture by Westinghouse and Remington Arms in the United States. When the new Bolshevik government refused to pay for them, the United States government stepped in and bought them in order to stop the arms manufacturers from going bankrupt. Some of these weapons then found their way back to Russia, being used by the intervention forces in the Russian Civil War. I understand that they are now very popular amongst collectors. A large number of rifles were captured by Austrian and German troops during the First World War, and then by Polish troops during the Polish Bolshevik War. Here we have a photograph from around 1923 from Upper Silesia showing smugglers who have been caught by the Polish border guard, and the guard is armed with the Mosin Nagant rifle. During the hostilities of the First World War and the Bolshevik War and others, significant shortcomings of the rifle in its then form were identified. The clip was badly designed, which reduced the rate of fire in combat conditions, and the fixed bayonet was a major problem. However, the biggest problem of all was quality, and parts of the rifle would frequently break or stop working, especially in trench conditions. Ammunition was also found to be a problem, largely due to inadequate packaging. Curiously enough, today in Ukraine, there's also a problem with ammunition not working, largely due to storage and packaging. The weapon was upgraded in the 1930s. The rifle remained the standard weapon of the Soviet infantry until after the Second World War, and was also produced by many of the countries occupied by the Kremlin after 1945, including Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Poland and Romania. It was also made under license in China. Whereas it was replaced by the Kalashnikov, Russia continued to have huge stocks and has sold these weapons abroad. For example, a quantity was sent to the Central African Republic as recently as 2019. In this photograph, we can see them being used in a parade in Venezuela in 2014. Just think of that. This is 100 years later than one of the other photographs I have already shown you. As one of the successor states of the Soviet Union, Ukraine inherited many of these rifles. The Ukrainian military has sought to update them. The state-owned arms company Ukrobronnservice performed an in-depth modernization of the Mosin Nagant rifle, which was named the MPVM-UOS. The prototype was first demonstrated on the 13th of November 2015. This weapon is designed for snipers, takes the 7.62 by 54mm round, and has a barrel length of 730mm. In the hands of an experienced shooter, the rate of fire reaches 20 shots per minute. The cartridge can hold 5 or 10 rounds. The VMMP-UOS rifle is equipped with an optical sight and folding telescopic bipod. The range was increased and sound decreased due to the use of a muffler, which permits its covert use. The first 10 of these updated sniper rifles were handed over on the 18th of March 2016. As you can see in the photograph, it looks nothing like the original. However, Ukraine still has some of the old Mosin Nagant rifles, which are still in circulation. In this photograph, we can see weapons captured by the invading Russian army at Kiev airport at the end of February 2022, one of which is a Mosin Nagant. Russia appears to have supplied this weapon to troops of the occupied Donetsk and Lugansk pseudo-states. In photographs which have been circulated on social media, we can see them. In these photographs from the Kremlin propaganda arm, Novosti, we can see the weapons which appear to have been manufactured in Leningrad in 1941. It's my opinion that these weapons may have been issued to conscripts from Donetsk and Lugansk who are being used as cannon fodder. Russian law does not permit conscripts with less than 4 months' training to be sent into a war zone. However, according to the Kremlin, this is not a war, and in any case, deaths and injuries to those unfortunate enough to be conscripted from Donetsk and Lugansk do not need to be reported. There is also video of conscripts complaining that they are students who have been forced to assist the Russian occupier by being sent to the front, given little or no training, and have been given weapons of World War II vintage that do not fire. Whereas they don't say the name of the weapon, it's pretty clear to me that they're referring to the Mosin Nagant. So to answer the question I opened with, I believe that these weapons are in use by the pseudo-states of Lugansk and Donetsk, which are under Russian occupation, as the Kremlin does not want to give them better arms. including that of the Kalashnikov, which itself has been around for a very long time. The young conscripts they are given to were born Ukrainian and probably feel more Ukrainian than Russian. I suspect this is a very brutal way the Kremlin is trying to get rid of potential opposition for the future. At the same time, of course, it needs to be pointed out that the weapon was used successfully for a very long time, and in the hands of an experienced sniper, the weapon could be more effective than a Kalashnikov. That is, of course, assuming that the shooter does not end up with a dud rifle, which does not work. Thanks for listening to this. I upload videos every Friday at 8 in the evening, my time, Central European time, which is 7 in the evening in the UK, and all sorts of other times in other places. I also upload at other times as well. And if you subscribe, then you will know when I have a new video out. My specialization is largely in the Second World War, and in particular the Holocaust, but because of the current Ukraine-Russia war, I am uploading material related to this war, and in particular where it may relate to the Second World War. Thanks for listening.